All right, so I want to officially welcome everyone to our Greater Vancouver Zoom with Kat, who is coming at us live from the hippo enclosure. So Kat, without further ado, I'm going to let you take it away.
Fantastic. Thank you, Haley. Hi, everybody. As Haley said, I'm Kat, and I work at the Greater Vancouver Zoo, and I am standing here outside the hippo enclosure. Now, before we begin our really special presentation today, where I am standing, when the zoo does eventually open, general public cannot be where I am standing. This is a special treat for you guys. It's more of a behind the scenes, where if you do buy a behind the scenes to see our hippos, this is where you'll be with our zookeeper. So it is only zookeeper access where we're gonna be. So if you come to the zoo, you're gonna be on the other side of our hippo barn, not where I will be standing. Okay, everyone? Fantastic. So we are gonna talk about hippos today. So hippos are quite amazing animals. I love talking about the hippos because a lot of people, when they look at hippos, they think they're just lazy African water potatoes. I assure you they are not. They are one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. So males can get up to 8,000 pounds. That is a pretty big hippo. Who I'm going to introduce you to today is going to be our female, Hazina. And Hazina came to us from the Granby Zoo in Quebec, and she's just a little under 4,000 pounds. Now, not only are we gonna show you one of our hippos, we also have a special treat with our zookeeper present as well. So if you have any questions for her, you're more than welcome to ask them at the end of the presentation too. All right, guys, so give me a big, huge nod if you're ready to meet our hippo and stop seeing my face. Fantastic. All right, everyone, so this is our zookeeper, Riley. Hello. And this is Hazina. So this is our female hippo. And hippos, they are not carnivores. As you are watching what Riley's feeding her, they eat grass and some alfalfa hay, is that correct? Yeah. So they are not carnivores, even though we say they are a very dangerous animal. You don't have to be the most dangerous animal to be extremely aggressive one. So she is very dangerous because these guys can get up to 48 kilometers an hour on land and be as fast as a motorboat in the water. Now, do you guys think that she swims? Give me a head shake here, there. So hippos don't swim. If you take a good look at her, does that look like a swimmer's body to you? No, so she does not swim. It is a locomotion called punting. So it's like them being chest deep in the water and you're running to shore. So what they'll do is they'll go down in the water and then they'll kick up off of it. Now they've got slight buoyancy to them, so they can hover a bit. And they can also hold their breath for about 5 minutes to a half an hour. They can also sleep underwater. They have built-in membrane that allows them to come up for air and go right back down without waking up. If you can see, she has these really big eyes of hers. Now they have a clear membrane around them and they almost act like goggles. So it's like you wearing goggles and you're going underwater, and you can see that's similar to the hippo's eyesight as well. If you look at her ears, they can swivel back and forth. She's got 5 times stronger hearing than we do. Now they do live originally out in Africa. And as you see, she doesn't look like she's sunburnt at all, right? They have this amazing adaptation like we've talked about in previous videos that's called blood sweat. So it's not blood and it's not really sweat. Scientists believe it acts as a moisturizer and an antibiotic to help them from any scrapes they may get out into the wild. So if you ever do come to the zoo and see a little bit of red goo coming out of her pores, that's not blood, it's just her sweat activating to keep her skin moisturized, because these guys are part aquatic animals, so they need water and land to survive. There you go. Now what we're watching Riley do right now, it's behavior training. So this is what we do with our animals if we need to do over some health checks, because how would she know how Hazina's teeth are doing? So she gets her to open her mouth wide, and then she gives her the positive behavior, and then she's rewarded. As you see that. And she opens her mouth. And she also has with her another tool called a clicker. So anytime that Hazina does the right behavior, she gets a click, and the animal knows that's a positive sign that she did a good behavior. You're looking at her tusks here. She does not chew with those. So the tusks are used to play or to defend their territory. She's got these tiny little teeth in the back that are similar to a cow's teeth. So she would shove all that hay back into her mouth, and that's how she would eat her food. Don't know if you can kind of see that. I can't get too close. Don't want Hazina to eat my camera. Now look how wide her mouth is, everybody. That's approximately 150 degrees. It's 180?
Yeah, we got 180.
Now it's 180. I apologize. Things change all the time. So these guys are very protective of their territory. So males are very protective of their females. So they'll use those tusks to defend their territory. Or another way is they'll lift up their tail and spray poo and pee all over the place. But that's a very good biodiversity because it helps feed the fish in the water, and up goes our ecosystem.
Stains your pants.
Riley just said it stains your pants. So there's going to be some fun tales that I'm going to ask Riley as well, being a zookeeper for these amazing hippos, because she's got some funny tales on how she takes care of them. And also the females are very protective of their babies. Not a lot of people know this, but the female hippo only gives birth to one baby. And that baby weighs about 50 to 100 pounds. That's 10 times the size of us human children, okay? That's a lot. All right, we're gonna get a look here. She's just throwing some hay. Okay, everyone, so I'm gonna ask Riley some questions, get her in the loop here. What's it like taking care of hippos?
What's it like? Well, there's no argument that I have the best job in the world. Every day is different. Positive reinforcement is super rewarding. Taking care of these guys is easy, but it's a messy job. I do have a degree, so I did have to go to school to end up working here. You guys have any questions?
Yeah, everyone, if you have any questions, we can start the question portion because I know this is an exciting presentation. So that's most of the facts we have about hippos. You have any questions?
Facts.
Yeah, we got facts. We can have more facts. We're playing this out here.
Awesome, Kat. Thank you. So boys and girls, if you have a question, you can put up your hand and I will scroll through and see who has questions. And also you can write them in the comments. And so I will call on you and unmute your screen, and then you can ask your question. And Kat is going to remember, or Kat's going to stay 6 feet away from the hippo and also from Zookeeper Riley while we are doing our questions, right? So,
Absolutely.
Phillips family, do you have a question? Go ahead, bud.
Why do the hippo's front teeth have flat tops?
That is an amazing question, and one that I'm very proud to share. If Kat would hand me the piece I handed her earlier.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Sorry.
So usually the tusks, which I have 6 of, so you have the two main tusks here. You have the guard tusks, which are down here. And then you have the smaller tusks up here that are almost the same as their main tusks, except they act as sharpening tools. So when the hippo opens and closes their mouth, the fighting tusks on the bottom rub with the top tusks up here and sharpen them into points. Now this is razor sharp. This would cut through your skin very easily. We file the tops of their tusks off so that in the hopes of reintroducing our hippos one day, they won't do as much damage to each other as they would in the past. It also helps in a lot of behavioral training. The trust that we build with these guys takes months. So to saw this off takes about 10 minutes, but it's 10 minutes over 2 weeks. So I get about 2 minutes, maybe a session over a 2-week period. And then by the end of the 2 weeks, we get enough where it just pops off. The tusks themselves are ivory, so they are worth a lot. When in Africa, not only are these guys problems with human conflict, but a lot of the times they will be killed just for their ivory, similar to elephants. They're of least concern. They're not endangered or threatened, but they are problematic with humans now, unfortunately.
Awesome. Thanks, Riley. So I just saw a comment. Are both our hippos at the zoo female? No, they are not. We have Hazina here, who actually I forgot to tell you the fun fact about her. She is our famous Telus hippo. So if you guys saw the commercial, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas with the Telus. This is that hippo. She was 9 months old when they shot that commercial. She is now retired because she's just a little under 4,000 pounds. And 17 years old. Our other hippo is Haven, and he is our male. So we're just showing you Hazina today. Haven is inside the barn right now having his lunch and dinner. Lunch/dinner.
Thank you, Kat. So I'm just going to let you guys know who I have on my list for questions so you can put your hands down. So I have Henry, Natalia, Sasha, Marla, Jill, and Sienna. I've seen your guys' hands, so you can put them down and we'll go in that order. So Henry, let me unmute you here, and then Henry, unmute. There you go. What is your question?
How can hippos open their jaws so far? What makes hippos able to open their jaws so big?
So what makes them able to open them? Well, right here along her cheeks, she's got massive muscles that almost act like the ones on your face, except for the cartilage and jaw joint along the back of her mouth is a lot bigger than ours, obviously. And she's got longer tendons, so that helps her open her mouth 180 degrees. Hippos don't have claws. They don't have big teeth. They do have tusks, and that is how they fight. So they have to open their mouth incredibly wide. Up. Good girl. In order to defend their territory and their young.
Thank you. Natalia and Sasha, what's your question?
How many
We both have different questions.
All right.
Why do they only have one baby?
Why do they only have one name?
One baby.
One baby.
Yeah.
Well, unlike a lot of other animals, hippos don't have a lot of room. They are a pseudo-ruminant, which means they do have a 4-chambered stomach, but they don't regurgitate their food like a cow does. So there isn't a lot of room going on in there. They've got a lot of stomach, a lot of intestine, and a lot of blubber.
Awesome. So there was actually a question similar to that on the chat that said, how long do babies stay with their moms?
Babies can stay with their moms for up to 2.5 years.
So Marla, Marla, what is your question?
It's McKinley.
Okay, McKinley, what's your question?
Is it true that little birds come into hippos' mouth and clean their teeth? And ears and nose?
Well, they won't really come to clean their teeth, but when a hippo's in the water, what do you see? So when they're floating around, you only see the very tip of their spine if you're lucky, their ears and their eyes and their nostrils, because everything is right on top. So when the bird comes and sits, it's just a safe place to be out of harm's way. They will sunbathe with them, but as you can see on Hazina's snout here, on her ears, and right on top of her eyes, she does have hair. And that hair helps block from parasites and flies while they're outside of the water, especially in the drought season. So the birds will help them clean, but there's not a lot to clean. Their skin is very leathery.
Thank you. So the next question is from, your screen name is Jill, but I'm not sure what your name is. What's your name, kiddo?
My name is Josh. And why do hippos have the same color skin as rhinos?
They actually don't have the same color skin. Rhinos, depending if they're Indian, whites, or blacks, some of them even have what's called armor their skin actually feels quite different. These guys are considered water mammals, so their skin's actually leathery, but it's has a lot of elasticity to it. Whereas rhinos, it's tough, it's used for fighting, it's great for blocking the sun because they aren't aquatic.
All right, thank you. So I also have written down, so next is going to be Sienna, and then I have Rory and back to Natalia and Sasha, and then we'll go to some of the ones that are in the comment box as well. So Rory, what's your question?
Do hippos get hunted sometimes?
They do get hunted sometimes, unfortunately, but like I said earlier, they're of least concern on the ICUN scale, so they're not endangered. It would be like hunting like a deer. So just because we live in a different country, different continent, people hunt different things for different food sources. It's incredibly hard to hunt a hippo. They're very fast. Their skin is very thick, so they're usually hunted very young. Their poop actually is super cool. It's dried out and used to make houses.
That's their poop right over there, guys. They do end up giving us more poop than that, but Hazina just took a poop for us, so that's a little sample of what Riley deals with. What I would like to for Riley to tell everyone is, when I explained how a hippo lifts up their tail and sprays poo everywhere, we should hear Riley's story on that when they do that inside the barn when she has to clean that.
So if she turns around for you and you get a good look at her tail's actually flat like a paddle, similar to a beaver tail if it was turned on its side. Their poop obviously comes out, and then their tail moves really, really fast, and it goes up one wall, down the other. If I'm in the line of fire, it gets on me, and that's just my life, and I've come to accept that. So good thing I don't take my laundry home.
It's very smelly.
Awesome. Sienna, what is your question?
How heavy can a hippo weigh up to?
So male hippos can get up to about 8,300 pounds. That's a very impressive male. Males are usually twice the size as females. Our female's a pretty good size. She could use a little bit more weight, but she's in captivity, so we actually like her the weight she's at. She weighs about 3,400 pounds. She gets weighed out graze, unlike a hippo who would have free choice in the wild. Our male, when you guys come to visit, is actually not underweight. He's just a very small male hippo. He weighs about 3,200 pounds. And when you guys do come visit, the easiest way to tell apart is Hazina is a little bit more pink up here by her ears. Her mouth is a lot bigger. She's got a way bigger attitude. She's pretty easy to tell apart. Good girl.
All right, our next question comes from Sasha, and then I see Avery, you have your hand up as well. So if you do have a question for today, make sure your hand is up right now so that I can scroll through and see who has questions while they're answering the next question. So Sasha, what's your question?
He said, how much teeth does a hippo have?
So it really depends on the genetics. Just like humans can have anywhere between 26 to 20, I think it's 8 teeth. But Hazina actually has a little, woo! I don't go in with them. If that's also your question, I don't go in with the hippos. If you look up here in the back of her mouth, she has rows of teeth. And in the front here, she actually has 2 that are together. So that would be something genetic, either from her mother or father. Hazina's very, very fast. And she's got quite the attitude. So like I said, she's really easy to tell apart when you guys come visit.
Awesome. The next question comes from Avery.
Is a hippo the smallest animal compared to a rhinoceros and elephant?
Well, elephants are definitely the largest. They're a pachyderm though. These guys here are aquatic mammals. They're actually closely related to whales than anything else. So it would probably go elephants, hippopotamuses, then rhinos.
Awesome. Next question comes from Nancy M.
Why do they keep some of their body at the top of the water? Why don't they just keep the whole body inside the water?
Well, how long can you hold your breath for? Well, I can't hold my breath for very long, maybe about 15 seconds. Hazina can hold her breath up to about 30 minutes if she wanted to. So she has to come up for air at some point. They're not great swimmers. They're not fish, so they have lungs. They do have to come up for air once in a while.
Thank you. Next question is from Laura.
My name isn't actually Laura, it's actually Duncan, but why do hippos, the start of their tail, it's very big, and the end is very, very, very thin?
Well, it acts like a paddle. So it's a giant muscle for one. So when the poop comes out, it hits the tail and it goes side to side and flies up the wall.
Okay. The next question is from Bowen and Jace.
Speak up loud.
What do they eat in the wild?
In the wild, hippos eat grass and maybe some shrubs that have fallen branches from trees, but they can eat almost half their body weight in grass over a course of about 3 days.
Thank you. So Haley and Zoe, and then I see Rory has another question. And then we're gonna need to start wrapping up soon. So if you do have a question, put up your hand right now, and then we'll do Haley and Zoe, and then Rory, and then I'll see who else still has questions. Haley, can you repeat your question, kiddo?
How many hippos are there in the world?
That's a very good question.
I don't think anybody has an exact number, but they're in the between 40 and 50,000 in the wild in Africa. There is two different types of hippos. There is the African hippo like these guys. There's also the pygmy hippo that is found in Africa and parts of Asia. But it turns out recently that there is a hippo problem. Actually, Pablo Escobar's hippo problem. His zoo, when it was shut down, they released the hippos, and now there is a wild population. So there's a few different populations of hippos all over the world. So there's not really an exact number at this moment.
Okay, so Riley, not Riley, sorry. You're Riley. Rory has another question, and then I see that Hannah, Avery, Leo, Angelica, and Kyler all have questions. How are you for time, Riley and Kat? Are you good to go for a little longer?
Yep. I also have a watermelon to give her, so whenever you're ready for that.
Yeah, so she's going to give her enrichment today as well, so you guys can see how a hippo destroys produce.
Awesome. So after Rory will come Hannah, Avery, Leo, Angelica, Kyler, and then the watermelon. And then if you still have questions, you can put them in the comments. We'll try and get to them. Otherwise, we'll find a way to answer them later. So Rory, what is your question?
What time, when the zoo is open, what time do you guys feed the hippos?
Okay, well, I start work at around 6:30 in the morning, and these guys get their first meal at around 7:30. And then I come back at about 11 and they get another meal, and then they get a meal at 3 o'clock. So 3 times a day, maybe 4 if they get an extra snack.
All right, Nicole. Hannah, what's your question?
Are hippos able to jump?
Are hippos able to jump? Is that the question?
That is.
They are not able to jump.
No, if you guys take a good look, here I'll squat down. Just so everyone knows, I have a really long selfie stick to remain social distancing from me and my keeper and the animal. Look at those stubby legs that she has. It's almost like corgi feet, that type of dog. So she cannot launch herself and jump in the air. They're very stubby legs that she has.
Awesome. Leo, what is your question, bud?
Do hippos have like nails on the feet?
They do. They have 4 toes They're what's called an even toe ungulate, and they have 4 toenails on each toe, and they get cracked and chipped nails just like we do. So the mud helps them stay nice and soft.
Awesome. So in the comments, Isley has a question. She would like to know, where do hippos sleep?
Hippos typically sleep in the water, but ours will sleep on land because they are in captivity. They have these mud wallows that they'll soak themselves in, and it's just great when they walk into my clean barn after they've been in one of those.
All right, Angelica, what is your question?
We have how much does hippo eat?
Much does the hippo eat?
Hippos can walk up to 8 miles a night in search for food, and within a 3-day period, they can eat almost half their body weight in hay.
And then the last one that I said that we for sure get to here, I believe, is Kyler. I just have to scroll up to find your name. One sec. Kyler, what is your question? And then I will go through the comments really quick.
From the people hunting the hippos down, how many are they?
Like how many people hunt hippos, or how many hippos are left?
Perhaps are hippos endangered? That might be kind of what he's asking.
They are not in danger. There's plenty of hippos.
All right. So we have, I'm just scrolling up because I did say I would look at the comments. So one quick question is, how come this hippo is in your zoo?
So hippos are part of the zoo for the species survival plan. In zoos in general, even in aquariums, nobody wants to have to take them to the wild anymore. So we do have something called the species survival plan, and all accredited facilities are part of it. So when facilities breed animals, we make sure that there's a genetic diversity within the father and the mother to have a healthy offspring, and so that in the future we can document that genetic diversity so that there's no crossbreeding. So we never have to take them to the wild. We got these guys from Quebec, and they are half brother and sister, so they do share the same father. So they would obviously never have babies, but there are facilities that would have a rescue hippo. They're usually all in Africa or a reserve, for instance.
All right. So we have 2 more questions in the comments, and I'll ask them both right now, and then you can answer them and feed the watermelon. One is, do they have good eyesight? And 2 is, how long do they live?
Okay.
So hippos can live into their 40s is pretty normal, especially in captivity. They do end up getting arthritis and stuff like an old animal would. They typically do not live that long in the wild. You're lucky to get a late teen to a mid-20s out of a hippo. They usually die from infection or fighting from somebody else. A lot of hippos will be kicked out of their group and will be searching for a really long time for food and just not find any and eventually starve. So yeah.
All right. And the other one was, do they have good eyesight? I can't tell if I can't remember.
They have fantastic eyesight.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So I do see that there are people with their hands up, and you know what? Unfortunately, we can't answer all the questions today, but I'll tell you that you can write them in the comments, but also this afternoon, probably around 4:30, 4:45-ish, I will post this video to our Facebook page. And on that video, you can also write your questions, and Kat will take a look at them to help plan our next sessions, and perhaps she can answer them a little later as well. Okay, so I apologize to those who haven't had their questions answered, but feel free to write them in the comments or watch the video on our Facebook page later and write your questions there as well. So are you ready to feed the watermelon?
Ready.
She is ready, everyone.
So hippos have a bite force of about 2,000 pounds per square inch. So they do kill a lot of people in Africa, and this is kind of
Now, just so you all know, we don't give watermelons all the time to our hippos because they are loaded with sugar. So we don't want them to get really fat, even though it's funny to say that when you're looking at Hazina right there. So Riley just said they give them this treat once a month. So it's almost like if your mom and dad were to give you guys a chocolate bar.
Awesome. I'm also going to say that looks like one really good watermelon. That's some seriously red watermelon you got there. Boys and girls, we are going to need to wrap up for today. But can we please say thank you to Kat and Riley? And how we do that when we're all muted is we just wave our hands like this and say thank you. You can say it as loud as you want. Say thank you very much to Kat and Riley.